Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Birds vs. Boys Mock Draft 1.0. The Super Bowl is behind Aidan. It is over. It is done with. We are moving on to the Combine. We are moving on to full content concerning draft season. We will be doing free agency coming up in the future. But right now, Aidan, we're kind of in that lull. Players can get tagged. We have the Combine next week. So right now we are focusing strictly on mock draft.
This is the most frustrating part for me is the season ended and I couldn't take a break. I couldn't be done with the Eagles. Like I immediately was like, okay, what are we going to do in free agency? Who are we going to draft? Immediately just going into like scouting prospects for the draft. And it's like,
Who's
I
our
can't stop.
offensive coordinator going to be? Who's our defensive coordinator going to be?
Exactly. I'm addicted. And I was looking at the schedule the other day and they don't even have the set schedule. It was just the home and away opponents. Yep. And so like I was just doing that, and that leads us to here, where you and I love draft content. It's the people seem to love it too, just based on the numbers. So this is a good jumping off point where it's very raw still, I would say, and we'll get more in depth with it tonight. We're doing 4 rounds. I think some of our plans are to have some guests draft with us, to do full 7 rounds, to draft an entire round in the first round for every team by ourselves. But tonight, straight up, 4 rounds, you and I, you're the Cowboys, I'm the Eagles. Pick for our teams as if we're the GMs.
And before we get into that, since you're speaking of away teams and home teams for 2023, I was doing the same thing because I'm addicted as well, and I have problems just like you. And there is one game that I'm circling that I would like to attend next year for the Dallas Cowboys on the road, where we could drive, and if you would want to go too, they play at the Buffalo Bills. Now, if that game is in like September, October, maybe November, I'm in. If it's December, I don't know.
I went when they played the Eagles and it was October, and we were right on the cusp. Like it was raining a little bit. It was a little cold, but it was an awesome time. So I agree. I'm all in if we go up to Buffalo.
Bucket list. All right.
Let's do it.
Let's get into this. So like Aidan said, we will be running through the PFF mock draft simulator. When it stops on the Eagles, we will discuss. Aidan will pick. When it stops on the Cowboys, we will discuss. I will pick. We are going 4 rounds. So, Aidan, let's get this party started.
Let's do it. I love seeing the top 10 before we even pick. It's very interesting. The computer does things a little bit differently than I think how life would go.
Whoa, big time. Okay.
Yeah, you could say that.
Jalen Carter, I could see this. Bryce Young, okay. I mean, Tyree Wilson has been shooting up draft boards. The edge from Texas Tech, he's a freak. CJ Stroud.
I already have a complaint.
Complain away.
No, I'll wait till the Eagles go. But it's all right. Keep going. Just keep going.
Okay, Quentin Jefferson, the first wide receiver off the board. Don't know about that. Christian Gonzalez is my cornerback 1. I do love him. That just adds to a defense.
Really?
Lions, that is better. And then we'll Levis,
talk about that one.
Anthony Richardson going top 10. Wow. And you lose an Alabama safety right before your pick. So, Aidan, you were on the clock.
A few things. So if this scenario plays out, this is the dream scenario for the Eagles. Also, I love Anthony Richardson. I think he's genuinely going to be a star in this league. And if you're the Falcons and pick that at 8, go ahead. Yep. I didn't even think that the person that I'm about to draft would be a possibility. My complaint, and if you've watched these last year and you've heard me talk at all about what I want the Eagles to do and what I think teams should do in general, it's best players on best teams. It's kids who were in the biggest moments in college, the kids who were 5 stars because they were that talented, go to the biggest schools, play in the biggest games. So it's pretty straightforward what I'm going to do. I didn't think this would be a possibility, but if you're looking at drafting an edge rusher that went to Texas Tech versus drafting an edge rusher that went to Alabama and won Defensive Player of the Year in college football, this is a pretty obvious decision. So if you're drafting a kid from Texas Tech ahead of Will Anderson, who I'm about to pick for the Eagles, that is insane. That is insane. Best players, best programs in college football. That's the way to go. Will Anderson at 10. This would be a dream scenario for the Eagles, and it would only happen if a bunch of quarterbacks race in the top 10. So you saw Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, all 4 going in the top 10. That's the only way that this is even remotely possible.
And you plug a Will Anderson onto the Eagles defensive line, who's probably going to be losing Brandon Graham, possibly Hargraves, Fletcher Cox. It's just you see the influx now, and it's just going to be people think since players are leaving, it's going to become a weakness. No, if you get a guy like Will Anderson, guess what? You're just making that line stronger and younger.
Yeah, exactly. And you would say to yourself, oh, but they have Hassan Reddick. He led the league in sacks. Oh, they have Josh Sweat. Hey, a breakout year for him. No. You can never have enough depth at these positions. It should be units, not players, when it comes to interior defensive line and defensive rushing and edge, like Will Anderson. So if that happens, we're in a great situation.
So Aidan is taking Will Anderson, the edge rusher from Alabama, at pick 10. Now the Dallas Cowboys will be on the clock, and let's see what we have here. All right, let's just look here.
Jordan Addison to the Packers is interesting. Them finally going wide receiver.
That would be a big FU right to Aaron Rodgers if he is no longer there.
Correct.
So Joey Porter Jr. going right before, well, not right before me, but a couple picks. Hurts. I love him.
That's rough.
Love seeing forfeited for the Dolphins. Hilarious.
Very funny.
Smith and Jigba, I love. I don't know if you saw my tweet, Aidan, but I would love to be able to draft him. So we could say, we see your Smith, and I raise you a Smith and Jigba from the Eagles to the Cowboys. Miles Murphy, good player. Dante Banks is a player that is definitely on the Cowboys' radar. If he goes a couple picks before, that would definitely hurt. He's got size. He's got speed. He's a ball hawk. He is somebody that would fit Dan Quinn's scheme immensely. So let's see here. Now, in real life here, I don't think BJ Robinson's here. I think he's going to go before the Cowboys pick at 26. If he's there, he's intriguing, right? Zeke is done. We don't know whether they are going to tag Tony Pollard or not. Even if they do tag Tony Pollard, I think Robinson would still be an option there because he is so dynamic. And he is such a big playmaker, and you can tag Tony Pollard, keep him for the year, and then let him walk because, what do we say? I'm not paying a running back second contract anymore. And then you have your built-in starter, BJ Robinson.
We're in the same position.
Not going Tanner McKee. Let's see here. I mean, we know wide receiver is needed. We know cornerback is needed. Tight end is also needed, with Dalton Schultz possibly moving on here. I really like Zay Flowers. I think he's a great player. However, I do not think the Cowboys will take a player of his stature, aka I think he's only like 5'8", 5'9". So I don't think he is a realistic option for this team. So I am really down to BJ Robinson and Michael Mayer here. I love both players. This is a tough one for me, Aidan.
As a Notre Dame fan, this makes it extra intriguing for you.
Yes.
Also, just the fact that his nickname is Baby Gronk would sway you.
He's a freak. I think there's more of a chance he's there in real life than BJ Robinson. So I'm going to take Michael Mayer just because I'm trying to go a little realistic too. So
I think that's fair. But I also think that would be a great pick. Like you said, even if Dalton Schultz doesn't leave, this kid has been comped as Rob Gronkowski. Like if you get him at the end of the first round, like I feel like that is a great pick.
Yes, he was. Again, I don't understand how he did not win tight end of the year. Overall grade 92.5. I mean, come on,
not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. So I'm going to go Michael Mayer, the tight end out of Notre Dame, with the 26th pick. Oh, Aidan, that's weird. You're on the clock again? How'd that happen?
How did that happen? So I know you brought up how it was a little bit unrealistic, and I was hoping we just made this to be the most unrealistic draft possible, and Bijan Robinson fell to the Eagles at 31 or pick 30 because the Dolphins forfeited it. I've seen it where he's mocked to the Eagles at 10. I don't think there's any world that they take a running back at pick 10 as good as Bijan Robinson is. Mm-hmm. Now, here is one thing that they could do. If you could scroll a little bit for me. At this pick 30, I would honestly be a little shocked if they picked here, to be honest with you. I think they are missing a few picks there in the middle rounds. So you want to have, as a team that's going to be cash strapped as they pay their quarterback. You want to build through the draft. That happens by having more picks. Obviously, you wouldn't have to pay them that first round amount if you trade out of the first round. You're already paying the first round amount because you're at pick 10. So for the sake of the draft, I'm going to take this pick, but I really think that you're going to be seeing them pick at 35, 36, somewhere like that.
Yeah, if you see here too, Aidan, there's two. So 39 and 40. These are the two trades that you were offered to.
Interesting. I'll go straight up this time, but in the future, I think I'm going to do some trades. Since this is 1.0, let's just draft it straight up. Now, there's two names of people that I'd really like them to see, and the one is coming up here. I believe I saw it. I think he's the next one. So, yeah, BJ OGuilari from the edge rusher from LSU. So I think that'd be awesome. His brother Aziz is on the Giants. Mm-hmm. He's very good. And I think BJ is cut from that same cloth where he's like a speed rusher off the line. But if Will Anderson is falling to you at pick 10, I don't know if you go BJ OGuilari. But I think there's another guy. We talked about Bijan Robinson. If you could pull up the running backs for me, I think that there is one person left that would be very suitable early in the second round, and I think people would be okay with it. Jamir Gibbs out of Alabama is shifty, breaks a ton of tackles. You're probably losing Miles Sanders. Kenny Gainwell is awesome, but I don't know if he's a 3-down back. Jamir Gibbs kind of is cut from that cloth. But a two-headed monster of those two guys who constantly are shifty, breaking out of tackles, explosive, I think would be awesome. Again, you look at the Eagles in the past, not in the first round. Second round, they drafted Miles Sanders. They drafted LaShawn McCoy before him in the second round. Both of those have panned out. I think they follow that trend this year. You don't pay your running backs, but you pay Jamir Gibbs on the second round. I'll go with him at pick 30.
Look at you. Alabama.
Best players, best teams. Best players, best teams. Best players, best teams.
Don't make it so difficult. All right. Cowboys picking here at 58. Let's see here. Center, edge.
I've seen
it's so funny how these mocks fall so much differently than the ones that I do.
Every time you do it, yeah, it's weird. Keon White from Georgia Tech, I've seen him mock to the Eagles at pick 30 a few times. So the fact that he's on the clock at 58, I don't know if that's technically a steal. I didn't really love the description. If you saw, he was played at Old Dominion, then finally got on the field at Georgia Tech. And I didn't love it, but it is an interesting decision if he's getting mocked at 30 and falling to 58.
So, I think Jalen Hyatt is an option here. Wide receiver is definitely needed. SEC player. I also like Cam Smith, cornerback from South Carolina, who thought I saw being mocked in the first round. I'm confused about that. But yeah, there's I'm obviously not going tight end. I think there's still some running backs I can get later that I like. Eli Ricks is obviously a player from Alabama. I love Isaiah Foskey off the edge, but I don't think they're going to go Notre Dame. So I'm actually going to go Cam Smith here, the cornerback from South Carolina, another SEC player. I like his game a lot, and I think he would fit into the scheme across from Trayvon Diggs well.
I like that a lot, and you complained once or twice about the lack of production from the CB2 position.
Just
so maybe this will finally be the solution. All right. What do we have here for us? So Jalen Hyatt, again, you mentioned him being an interesting example for us. I agree. I think that'd be interesting for the Eagles as well. I know you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, but you're really looking for that wide receiver 3 that you could really use. But I think there's another guy that they could utilize and they might like. I may have lied. I think there's a few guys I like now. Yep. Kaylee Ringo, Georgia. Christopher Smith, safety, Georgia. I kind of like these. Darius Rush. I did see him.
That's where you're going.
No chance. So I really think now we're looking at, what positions you're losing. At this point, by draft day, you'll know if you have CJ Gardner-Johnson back or not. You know where James Bradbury ends up. So the secondary is the one with the most question marks. Joe Tippmann, that guy as a center from where? Wisconsin? That is the most Wisconsin center I've ever seen in my entire life.
Ever.
That is hilarious. But so I think there's a few different ways you can go. And I was thinking Jamie Robinson from the safety from Florida State, but I didn't realize that there were others on the board. I'm gonna go with Ringo, the cornerback from Georgia, because I really think they like Reed Blankenship as a plug and play guy. They've got Marcus Epps. I'm assuming something gets done with CJ Gardner-Johnson in this.
I think they tag him if they don't.
I do. At the very least, they tag him, and that means that Bradbury is the odd man out. You need another corner. Maybe it's Ringo. That's a lot of pressure on a young kid, but you got to do something. So I'll take him.
Ringo. All right.
Jalen Hyatt to the Broncos. That's interesting.
All right. I was hoping he would fall, and he did to me. So, I mean, Hendon Hooker's still there.
Hooker?
I don't know if you saw, the Cowboys have been linked to two quarterbacks. One yesterday, CJ Stroud, that they're intrigued with, and that was just literally a made-up story.
I saw
the top five.
People were not thrilled. Yeah.
But I think Hendon Hooker is a realistic option here coming off the ACL. They said he's going to be ready for camp. He is a very accurate player. Does not throw interceptions. Look at this, 5.32, compared to 31 touchdowns, 27 touchdowns. So I think he's a realistic option.
I know he hurt his ACL, but still.
Yep. I mean, but as a backup, you either it would do two things, right? It's a backup plan to Dak Prescott if he continues to regress. You can move on from him in a couple of years and you have Hendon Hooker there. Or if he progresses like the Cowboys front office and coaching staff believes that he will, and you have a Hendon Hooker, guess what? Maybe in 2 years or so, a team like the Raiders who likes him or something might be knocking on your door and offering a second or possibly a first round pick. So, it's a good option. I'm not going to choose him here just because I'm trying to build a team that can help this team win this year. And I think a player that helps them this year is Parker Washington, the wide receiver from Penn State. You can not a lot of touchdown production, but he could be that wide receiver 3, maybe even wide receiver 4, depending on what they do. Obviously, I think they're going to lock up CeeDee Lamb this offseason. You still have Michael Gallup there, who definitely has question marks after this season, his injuries. He had another knee surgery, so you don't know what you're getting there. You also don't know what they're going to do in free agency. The flirting and the linkedness with Odell Beckham is still very alive, so he may still be going there. But you're still going to need some younger talent, and I think Parker Washington in the 3rd round at pick 90 is a very good option for them.
It's a great option. I think he is. He's a lot different of a wide receiver than Michael Gallup even is. He's got that yards after the catch speed where he pulls away from people. And I think that's something that would be fantastic for both of our teams. So I think Parker Washington, like you said, at pick 90 is very solid.
And I will turn the card in. So we each have one more pick here.
Nice. And I'm at 94. All right. So I've gone edge rusher, I've gone corner, and I've gone running back. Now, I think there are, again, a few options here. If we could keep scrolling, I just want to take a look.
I love this kid.
So do I. I was watching his tape. I guess we should say his name. Tajay
Spears.
He plays at Tulane.
Yes.
So AAC. But didn't he come on late? Isn't there like a weird story that he ended up at Tulane, but he's like actually just insanely. Yeah.
I mean, look at his 1,500 yards, 28 targets, 20 catch, 25 receiving yards, 19 rushing touchdowns. I mean, kid had a year, and he showed up in the big moments at the end of the year as well in the bowl game
against USC. Yeah, that's gonna be a steal. It's like Dameon Pierce all over again. It was like, why don't we just scroll down a little bit more for me, and then I think I'll have my pick. All right. So a lot of good options. I I'm focused in linebacker and I'm focused on the interior of the defensive line. I know one way or another they're probably losing a linebacker. So Kazir White, TJ Edwards are both free agents. I would think TJ Edwards is probably going to be back and Jacoby Dean is going to take over. So, and they just don't value linebacker a ton. Again, as we get closer to the draft, we're going to have a better idea of like what the team needs really are. But it's just it's a team that values infrastructure so much. They always go defensive line in every draft. And I know I went defensive edge, but I'm thinking interior, which is something they do quite often. So if you could scroll down for me a little bit here. And so Kobe Turner, defensive interior out of Wake Forest. I like him a lot. I think we can put him on the board. I think it fits. Even if they bring back Javon Hargrave, think about all the guys they're losing on that defensive line. Sue, Linval Joseph, probably Fletcher Cox. They need bodies in there. This kid's a solid body. I will take him and plug him in.
Boom. There is your pick at 120, at 94.
94, baby.
All right. Last pick of mock draft 1.0 for the Dallas Cowboys on the clock.
Aidan O'Connell, quarterback, Washington.
All right, here we go.
Interesting.
We got cornerbacks. So, my linebacker that I really liked is gone. Where'd he go? Damn. I love Penny Swell's brother.
Is it? I thought so.
Yeah.
I think I remember that from an Oregon game.
Yep. So, safety is an option. Obviously, running back is an option. Cornerback, guard. I mean, all of these positions, interior as well. I really like Chase Brown.
Yep.
But do I like him more than Zach Evans? Fourth round, I feel like this is definitely a time where the Cowboys may go after running back.
Yeah.
Let's see our options here. Where did I pass running back? There it is. Love Deuce Vaughn too, but I think it's too early. I think if we were going to go Deuce Vaughn, that would be maybe like fifth round. You know much about Zach Evans?
I don't know a ton yet.
Yeah, me either. I do know I like Chase Brown, though. I think I'm going to go Brown here. I mean, Illinois ran the ball. I mean, look at these yards the last two seasons, over 1,000 yards each. It's a lot of carries on those legs for sure. But fourth round value.
Backs, though.
Yeah. Fourth round value, I like it. So I'm going to go running back here, and I'm going to go Chase Brown out of Illinois in the fourth round. So let's see our grades here, Aidan. They never like what we do.
They hate me. They always give me a terrible grade.
No, thank you. All right. C minus. How does Michael Mayer get a C at pick 28? I've
been seeing him in the teens.
Yeah, that's Parker Washington. That's a good one. So I got a B minus. Okay.
F for Jamir Gibbs.
How
People would be doing backflips in the street if they got Jamir Gibbs at pick 30.
And a D plus for Ringo. Obviously, Will Anderson gets you A plus. So you actually get a B, even though you got an F.
I'll take it. Again, this would be the dream scenario for Eagles fans if 4 quarterbacks go in the top 10, really the top 9 because you pick 10. Then you pretty much have your choice at Devon Witherspoon, Devon Witherspoon, Joey Porter Jr., and maybe Will Anderson.
Yep.
I am shocked that happens. But if Jonathan Gannon and the Cardinals went Tyree Wilson, the edge out of Texas Tech, feel free, be my guest. I'll take it. We'll take Will
Andre
Anderson.
Carter, the edge from Army, has been shooting up draft boards as well.
Yep. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I see him to the Chargers a lot. So that's another one. It's interesting. It's a lot of interesting names. We're still in that raw period too, right? Like you see these guys and some of them are mocked in the top 10 or top 15, and then they fall all the way down. Like Bijan Robinson would be awesome at the Bills at 27. Would he make it there? I don't know.
And I think there's guys that I'm going to fall in love with. Like I've already fallen in love with Joey Porter Jr., but I don't think I've seen so many mock drafts on Twitter with him going to the Cowboys, but I don't think it's realistic that he's there at 26. I really don't.
I don't think he's going to make it.
I think Deonte Banks from Maryland would be more of a possibility.
Yep. 100% agree.
I mean, look at that. 25 minutes. That's what we do. You watch us here on YouTube. We go through the mock drafts. It's what we do. I got a B-, Aidan got a B. We will continue these mocks as we get closer. More and more and more draft content coming from Birds vs. Boys. So that's why you're going to want to subscribe to everything that we offer. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Birds vs. Boys Pod. Anywhere that you listen to podcasts, that's where our full episodes will be. Apple, Google, Spotify. And then make sure that you are following us on TikTok for our rankings. We rank everything. We have shorts on there. It is nothing but content. And, we get to argue with 12-year-olds in the comments. Vikings still suck. Thank you very much. And our big platform that we are trying to grow this year that is our near and dear to our heart right now, and where you're probably watching us, is our YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube, like the videos, comment if you like the drafts, comment if you don't like them, interact with us. And we will be back next week, Aidan, with a full episode around the Combine, correct?
Correct. And maybe mock draft 2.0.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching Mock Draft 1.0 with the Birds vs. Boys guys. Aidan, again, I'm sorry for your loss, but we continue to move forward.
We strive. We move forward. Marathon
Enjoy
continues.
Your day, your night, your morning, whenever you're watching this. And hey, you know what? Watch it again. If you watch in the morning, just watch it again in the evening. So we'll catch you next week.